Salim Badani Bazali. Hello, parents. So today we're going to be talking about I Want My Hat Back from John Klassen. So it's part of a series. It's actually a trilogy. So we've read one of the other books from this trilogy already. This Is Not My Hat. And the books are quite similar. They really rely on the kid to juxtapose the words in the pictures. So if you just listen to what's being said, you won't really pick up on what's actually going on. You have to look at the pictures, and you have to look at the tension between what the words are saying and what the pictures are showing. So, again, if we look at the picture with the rabbit, so none of the words say, well, hey, that rabbit's wearing a hat. We have to fill that in by ourselves. And then similarly, when the rabbit's lying, the book doesn't say, well, the rabbit's lying, you can tell. But it shows us. He gives a very complicated answer to a very simple question, and then he offers up the fact that he would not steal a hat. When nobody asked if he stole a hat, they asked, have you seen a hat? So, those clues, that reading between the lines, is something that's really going to help the kids to make sense of the story. And so basically the story is helping them to develop those abilities to read between the lines. So yeah, and then again, like the other Hat book, the story gives us a situation where we're not given a clear moral. We're given a real situation, and we have to basically make sense of it. It's much more like what the real world is. So it's helping kids to kind of be prepared to realize that, yes, sometimes right and wrong are complicated. And sometimes if we want to know what the right thing is, well, we're not going to be able to copy someone else. We're going to have to think about what's right and, kind of do sort of almost like pave our own path. There's another really important part of this story that I think is really worth exploring. So if we look at the bear, so he gets his hat stolen by this rabbit, and then the rabbit lies to him, and in the process of lying, the rabbit kind of makes him look really stupid. So I think the bear has lots of very real, very legitimate reasons for, feeling upset. But that doesn't really justify his behavior. And I think that if we're honest, this kind of getting caught in a victim mentality, it's a very real tendency for us as human beings, and I think a very real danger that we have to fight. So we're here in rural Africa, in what is in a lot of ways a disadvantaged community. But if we start to see ourselves as victims, and that becomes kind of central to our identity, it doesn't really help us make better decisions. It really causes us to feel sorry for ourselves. It, really impacts our self-esteem in a negative way. And it can maybe kind of help us to justify things that we know are not right. Again, if we look at the criminals in our neighborhood, this is South Africa, so unfortunately, crime is a big reality that a lot of us deal with. Most of those criminals are doing those crimes most of them actually were, historically disadvantaged and currently disadvantaged. We are, South Africa's famous for having one of the most, kind of unfair and intolerant kind of political systems that existed. So we are still dealing with the consequences of that. There's no denying that that's a reality for us. But at the same time, if we look at a lot of the problems we're dealing with now, 20 years of independence, a lot of it is the fact that, a lot of our criminals, a lot of our politicians seem to think that they deserve something more. And, there's kind of this attitude that I was unfairly done, and so I need my compensation. And the problem is if you get too stuck in that kind of thinking, it becomes really hard to create your own solutions. And you start to behave in ways that, you probably wouldn't behave in otherwise. I think, as we go into this crisis with COVID-19, I think we need to be really conscious of, not ourselves taking on this kind of victim mentality. So, anything from, in America, people buying up all the toilet paper, not sharing it with everyone else. To, as this thing carries on, us really having to, yeah, kind of, pull up our socks and really kind of face the fact that things are probably going to get a lot less comfortable before they start to get better again. And, we're going to have to acknowledge that we're not the only victims here, that, kind of the whole of the planet right now, all the people, we're dealing with this together. And, if we're going to get through this, which I believe we can, and if we're going to get through this the best way possible, we very much are going to have to lean on each other. And yeah, so we're going to have to realize that we ourselves are victims, but that so is everyone else. And that, the fact that we're stuck in our flat or the fact that we can't get some of the things that we like to have isn't an excuse. It's not going to justify that negative behavior. Yeah, and then again, I think, when we deal with Africa, I think it's also really important that, we not get too stuck on this victim identity. And yeah, because, again, even though we are cooped up and locked up, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, and yeah, we're still living pretty good here in Mzansi. So yeah, stay sane, stay safe, and yeah, cool. We're here with you. Bye, guys.
Thank you for watching. Don't forget to check out our downloadable activities on thanda.org.